Hello, all you crypto aficionados, and we got some news for you. We are going to discuss SBF's testimony, and boy, it's a doozy. Now, I actually don't think his lawyers came up with this defense, because he went full in on the kamikaze defense, which, by the way, is not going to work. Now, before I start this, I have to dispel the notion that Sam Bankman-Fried is some kind of genius. He is not. This is the literal guy that lost $8 billion of your money in trading. I can also lose $8 billion in trading if I wanted to. It's not that hard to lose $8 billion in trading if I had $8 billion to lose. I could, just like SBF and Carolyn Ellison, leverage 100x on a really bad bet and lose it all at once. I have the ability to do that as well. Sam Bankman-Fried is not a genius. And Sam Bankman-Fried also thought he knew exactly how life worked, and his lawyers didn't. I guess that's why he's in jail right now. So don't trick yourself into thinking SBF is some kind of genius. He is not. He is more of a moron than a genius. Now let's get on to his testimony. Now, he went for the full kamikaze defense because, I don't know if his lawyers actually said well, I don't think we can win this defense. So you got to get up on the stand and do whatever you want because you couldn't possibly make it any worse. Well, they shouldn't have bet that way because he could definitely make it worse. And he can make it quite a bit worse for himself. I guess it doesn't really matter for his lawyers because they're probably getting paid anyways. And they know that they probably can't win this case. So I guess they're just letting him do whatever he wants. He did actually admit to erroneous mistakes, but check out this defense that he actually has. He completely ignored the objections and the abstains when the judge actually did them in his favor. So from protos.com, check out this from Inner City Press, check out the proceedings. AUSA, did you believe you should not embezzle customer assets? His lawyer, Cohen, objection. Judge, sustain. That means the objection was sustained. He doesn't have to answer the question. And then SBF goes on and says, no, I believe I shouldn't. I did not believe I should do that. And then his lawyer was like, you don't have to answer the question after sustain. Haven't you been here for 4 weeks? SBF, I felt I should answer it. So obviously, this question has an objection because you already assumed that he embezzled the funds, and that's kind of what they were fighting over. And then his lawyer obviously objected because this question assumes that he embezzled funds, which is what they're fighting over. And the judge obviously said, you don't have to answer the question because you don't have to implicate yourself in that you already embezzled funds. And then SBF's like, no, I didn't believe I should do that. So he basically said, I know I embezzled funds, and no, I don't think I should do that. And then his lawyer's like, you don't have to answer that. You shouldn't because you are just saying that you embezzled funds. And SBF is like, I felt I had to answer it. So he obviously does not listen too much to his lawyers. And there are no jurors actually present. But if this gets out, if this actually gets out, it's really bad for him because, even though jurors aren't supposed to maybe consider this stuff because they're not here for it, they'll hear about it. And in the back of their head, on a mental note, it will affect them. If I was a jury member, there's no way I would be able to stay neutral after reading about this on the news. So this is pretty crazy. And he's basically throwing the presumption of innocence out the window. He's essentially admitting, I did things wrong. And then he's trying to blame it on his lawyers and colleagues for the collapse. Well, that doesn't really work because your colleagues, first of all, already took a plea deal and they testified against you. And trying to blame it on your lawyers does not actually work because his lawyers aren't part of the crime. They didn't actually come in until you already committed the crime and you were already on trial. So this is a crazy defense. I know his lawyers did not think up of this defense because his lawyers weren't you know what, just blame it on Gary Wayne, Carolyn Ellison, and us, and you'll be A-okay. Yeah, I don't think any lawyer, no matter how bad they were, would come out with this defense. Not even Rudy Giuliani or Sidney Powell would come up with this defense if they were representing Sam Bankman-Fried. And realistically, it wouldn't really matter if those two were actually representing Sam Bankman-Fried or his lawyers right now. They probably couldn't help him anymore. And he is just basically tanking himself all over the board. So they are comparing his defense like Japanese pilots in World War II who basically rammed their planes as weapons to break aircraft carriers from the United States. Except, that strategy didn't work because Japan eventually lost. And his strategy is going to work even worse because he's basically tanking his entire defense. So this is a horrifying mistake that SBF is making because he's essentially admitting all these crimes. Now, thankfully for him, the jury is not there. But like I said, stuff like this gets out on the news. And when it does, you're going to be completely destroyed. So basically, he's having a tantrum in court. And hopefully he thinks this tantrum might actually draw sympathy from the judge, which obviously it's not going to, or somehow have some magical effect, which is going to make him not guilty, which is crazy. Note to yourself, guys, if you are being charged with something, kamikaze defenses, where you try to blame your lawyers and your colleagues, generally does not work. In which you already admit your crimes, generally does not work. Don't do it. It's really, really bad. And outside of this, Sam Bankman-Fried already has admitted that he also didn't know anything about crypto when he started FTX with Gary Wang, which this I can actually believe. Based on his actions, I don't think he knew all that much about crypto. It was all a big grift all along. So, Sam Bankman-Fried said he didn't know much about the cryptocurrency before launching FTX and his closely associated hedge fund Alameda Research. So it was all trading. He had zero idea of how any of this stuff worked. So like his own quotes, this is from The Guardian, "I had absolutely no idea how they worked," he told his lawyer on the stand. That's also not a great place to tell your lawyer that you have no idea how cryptos work when you ran $1 billion crypto company. Remember, ignorance of the law and ignorance of what you're doing does not protect you from the consequences of the law. I don't really know if he thinks that's how he's going to protect himself, but whatever he's doing, it's not going to work. I just knew there were things you could trade, like oranges and apples. So that was Sam Bankman-Fried's knowledge of crypto. He actually thinks saying that I have no idea and I created a business where I didn't know how any of this crap worked would actually give him some innocence or reduce his jail time, which is obviously not going to work. And this is why lawyers outside the case are predicting long periods of prison for this guy. He said he saw an opportunity, gaps in knowledge. So basically he's admitting that his whole business was taking advantage of people that were unknowledgeable, which, I mean, realistically, we all knew that that's what it was. But this is not the kind of stuff you want to admit in court. There was a lot of excitement about crypto, but bigger, more established trading outfits didn't have the framework to create exchanges. They also didn't want to be sued for fraud. He said he thought there was maybe a 20% chance that FTX would be successful and an 80% chance that we'd fail. Now, the thing is, he didn't account for the chance that it would be successful and then fail, because he was successful for a while and then he just made it all blow up. And basically, he told his partner Gary Wang that we had no idea at all how we get customers. Obviously, they found an idea, and that was to lie and grift people. And obviously, for a while, it really, really worked for them. So, his defense is actually making it way worse, because his defense is basically just as telling to any kind of prosecutor, jury, or whatever, as any of the testimonies against him. He's basically saying, we made this company with the intention of grifting people who didn't really know that much about crypto. That's how we got customers, and that's how we got all our money. Not a great tactic. Admitting that your business was one giant grift, which obviously we all knew it was, but just admitting it in front of the judge on the stand, and then basically blindsiding your lawyers by doing this, probably not great. If I was his lawyer, I would just take my money and rage quit at this point, because he's obviously not that interested in defending himself, and he's trying to drag me into this case as well. So this is his actual stand, and this is why his lawyers didn't want SBF to actually take the stand, but I guess he really wanted to himself, and his lawyers were like, he couldn't possibly make this worse, could he? Yes, he can, folks. Yes, he can. And this is why I don't think that SBF actually has any dirt on Gary Gensler or any of the other stuff. Because if he's willing to say this garbage, you know that he would spill all the beans if he had any beans to spill. So I actually don't think the regulators were actually involved in the fraud. You can get them for negligence, I would think, but you can't get them for fraud. And of course, he admitted to making a number of larger mistakes when running his cryptocurrency exchange. You never admit that you were guilty unless you took a plea deal in a court case, because basically you just lost the case. Now, given the fact that this case was pretty much already lost, you don't completely lose the case. I mean, after this, I would be surprised if any lawyers ever wanted to represent him again, because he's obviously not a client you want to work with. He makes the case pretty much impossible to win. So basically, he was questioned. He answered questions that he didn't have to answer that implicated himself. He tried to drag his lawyers into this, blame his colleagues, and he admitted to fraud. Thankfully, there wasn't a jury, but like I said, when this stuff comes out, it'll be bad. And of course, the judge heard it. So what do you think the judge is going to think? So he admitted mistakes, he admitted fraud, and he tried to blame it on everyone else. Not a great defense. This is a kamikaze defense that's going to go down in flames, and I think this guy is pretty much gone insane. So that's what I have to say. That's like a wrap up of SBF's testimony. Don't do a testimony like SBF if you're ever in a criminal trial. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.